He was a Kansas City Athletic and an Oakland Athletic, and not only that, Bob Kendricks, the president of the Negro Leagues Baseball Museum, they have been, I guess, donated from the Board of America Bank $1 million to build a new Negro Leagues Baseball Museum.
Oh, wow.
And so we're going to be happy about that, plus some other things in the works. That area, Madam C.J. Walken will be talking about that in a few shows to come, to really turn 18th Street into a minority interest tourist attraction and some ideas. But first of all, do we have Mr. Kenneth Ford with us?
No, I didn't get him yet. I was listening to Brother Williams, Miss Grace Bomry, who was a great opera singer, died a week ago also. And
you say what now?
Grace Bomry, who was a great opera singer, died.
Okay. Oh, you adding that to it. Oh, beautiful.
And to that, okay. She sang around the world, and also the opera houses. And she was one that was just one of the greatest houses. I came from the high school here in St. Louis. So,
really?
Said that. Yeah. So let me have said that. Matter of fact, one of my good friends was one of her proteges.
Well, St. Louis has produced a lot of entertainers, and a lot of people talking about East St. Louis, but St. Louis has also.
Yes. Okay, let me get Mr. Ford here.
How's the weather there?
Rainy and rainy.
I don't know what the deal is, but I think next week we'll have a really star-studded show, and it's supposed to be nice. The last time we didn't do anything because not only we would preempt, but also the weather was 90 degrees.
Mm.
So a lot of people said they sat out there, it was too hot, and I didn't have any.
He's here.
Oh, Mr. Kenneth's here. Okay,
yes.
Mr. Kenneth Ford, what we want to do, this person, he has a heck of a background, a hell of a background. But I think what we'll do first, we'll say his background as an iron worker and how he got into the things he's doing, and we'll get into the thing of the freedman on the show today because he's very involved in that. So if you would, Mr. Kenneth Ford, did I get that last name right?
Ford, yeah.
Okay. Tell us about your days as an iron worker. If we talk about the iron work, we talk about back in the early centuries where black folks, they were in control of the Union, and the Indians were really into being iron worker because they wasn't afraid of fights. So, Mr. Ford, take it away.
Oh, okay. Well, good evening. How's everyone this evening? Thank you for inviting me in. My name is...
Life is good, sir.
Big one.
Life is good, sir.
Great. Yes, I'm a retired iron worker. I was been 32 years, started in the mid-70s. And iron worker and construction total was a field that black people had a natural inkling for. But when I felt like when the unions kind of took over, I think black people kind of got excluded back in somewhere in the early 1900s. Because way back in the day when the White House was built and a lot of construction was going on, the black people would work for less money than a white guy, so they were oftentimes hired. So when I got in the mid-70s, they took a bunch of us in. It was just so many iron workers, and then there were some older guys. They had a program called the trainee program where they took in older black people, and it was just to me, it was a way of making up for their past discriminations. And so nowadays we have it's
well,
better.
let me interrupt you for a second. That
Sure.
training program, that was the Kansas City plan.
Okay.
Now continue.
Okay, yeah, I knew, I knew there wasn't many black people in. I kept running across these older guys in the trades. And I said, man, they keep telling me this is new, but these guys are older. Then I realized they had a trainee program. They were taking in older guys to make up for the past racism in my mind. But a lot of these guys had great work ethics, but we just weren't getting much work. I look back at days where I go to the hall looking for work, and you had a joke. If one black guy got a job out, well, everybody else might as well leave, because they made that, they made their choice for the day. But I remember days back in the day when Piccolo's was over at Lincoln Building, man. Horace Washington, he was planning on making this black archives, and I was trying to remember why I was there sitting with Horace during the day, and because I wasn't working much, I wasn't getting much time. Of course, there were more blacks as we got in. We started learning trade, learning the jargon, picking up the expertise, and pretty soon a lot of white guys didn't want to work with a black guy because we would work him. So we were most of us got pretty good. The ones that stayed in, so many got out, and that's why I started an organization called the Quorum Group, which is a community of retired artisan mentors, and we're basically black tradesmen who've retired. And there's a group of us now, and so we're reaching back to the community to try and reach out to young people to not only get in the trades but to stay in the trades, because most of the time they run across all kind of obstacles. Racism is not the only thing that you run across, but it's just a lot of obstacles to staying in the trade. So we're there to be a visual impact to them, that they're all black men, black women, black tradespersons that have been in the trade and have made it. And so now a lot of us are retired and living pretty decent lives, got pensions coming in and Social Security coming in, and doing pretty good. So Lord's blessed, and we're just trying to impact our young people to get in the trades and stay in the trades through the Quorum Group.
I know this is a special show, but I might want to take this opportunity that your wife, how is your wife doing?
She's doing. We had to cancel her procedure a couple of weeks ago. She's trying to have a hip removal. And so we're just trying to keep her spirits up and keep her motivated until we can set the new date for the procedure. But thank you for asking.
And tell her Happy Mother's Day also.
I'm sorry?
Tell her Happy Mother's Day also.
Oh, appreciate that. Yes, sir. I will convey that message. And happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there.
The voice you hear is that of Ira folks. I'm the head of the Lecture Montgomery and one of MC's co-hosts for the program. So thank you much for the thing that you're doing. So I admire that. I like to talk later on off the air about something that we're doing with the chamber. Okay, that you be very much informed of what you're doing right now. You're perfect to your organization.
Okay. What did you say? What did you say the name of it is?
This is Missouri Black Chamber of Commerce.
Okay.
And I'm the founder and CEO, and we work with blacks across the state, and we have a program starting now how to make members millionaires.
Oh, well, that definitely caught my attention.
Yeah, I thought it would. Okay. In fact, you're a perfect candidate to have that conversation with, by the way.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I'd be very interested. I'm all about a collaboration. I'm just one that does not believe in all of us black folks working in our silos about these great projects and great ideas and great energies, and we're not sharing and getting together with each other, because that's one of the downfalls of our community. We don't work together enough.
Amen, 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 sir.
But
exactly true.
we had a great program last Saturday morning. We got a bunch of kids out at the Brown Park here in the Kansas City area. We had a little what they call no glove softball game. Some of the guys brought out some of their crafts, and one Carl Merrill, another iron worker, he set up and had welding demonstrations and cutting and how to measure and things like that. Another guy, Evie, he brought out a cart that he builds. He builds carts for food carts, and showed kids how to build this and go into business for yourself. And it was a great afternoon. We had a lot of people. We had food, and the kids got engaged. That was what I was really proud of. So we just need to expose them to what's going on out there, and they'll fill in the gaps. I know there's some issues, but they'll fill in the gaps if we stretch them and present it to them and stretch them, make them work a little bit. They'll rise to the task.
Well, Mr. Ford, I'm going to take this opportunity to invite you, if possible, to come to St. Louis and do something with our people here. I would very much appreciate that.
Well, just get the information from Mr. MC, Mr. Richardson, and I'll be glad to work out whatever it takes to get it done. Because St. Louis and Kansas City, our black communities need to be working together.
Sure, thank you.
We really do. I tell you, it's a shame our Congress people and politicians don't see the light. They're so busy wrapped up in their own not ideology, but ideology. That like they're trying to put in that wide 70 highway, 70 highway between I-70 between Kansas City. That should have been done 25 years ago.
Yes, sir.
That's
the only highway.
Fighting. Yeah.
That's the whole matter of fact. That was the first one built in 1955. That was the first highway built in the country.
Okay.
And it's still a 2-lane highway most of the way.
Yeah. But between Missouri's biggest cities, that should have been a 3-way highway 20 years ago. But they're so busy fighting Obamacare and fighting it for the ideology, which they still doing. So anyway, I'll get off that bandwagon.
Before you get off that bandwagon, they just voted to make that into a 6-lane from Kansas City to St. Louis.
Right. They did vote it?
Yeah.
That's my understanding.
Mr. Ford, I followed that, just closely. And what he said is true. Now, that was one of the best things, that our legislators did this session in Jim City, because of the session. This session was a waste for most things, but that was one of the best things that came out of the session was that extension. And I think that's going to create a lot of jobs, for the unions. And one of the things that we envision here in the chamber is that Joe Biden says that he's a union president, and that is true, but he's putting billions and trillions of dollars to the unions, and black guys will go get their share. And we're going to show you how to get your share, or get your share. That's our goal.
That's one of the things our core group, we're trying to stay as unpolitical as possible, but we want to keep an eye on those kind of things.
This is not political at all. Matter of fact, this is going to blow your mind when I see the front.
Yeah, so that's one of our themes. One of our underlying themes is to make sure that we get the piece of the pie that we deserve as black.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So, but that's.
But I'm not. Let me digress. I'm excited. I'm a union man myself. I went back. I was a Teamster. I served as a Teamster back in the '70s, and I also, came back and I was with IBW over here, number 2, where I worked with in St. Louis over the cable system. And I eventually became a part-time organizer for the IBW here in us, in the country, for local 2 across the state, Missouri, yeah. But I know you guys at one half of the state, we at the other half. And so I worked very closely with, the union here, and also, work with them on a national basis with IBW also.
Super, super. Oh, that's great. That's great. And then we, when you're thinking about that, we can't forget Springfield too, because there's work going on down there all the time, and the numbers of us are not there, but they are enough where we need to keep an eye on that area too.
Well, the goal I have, sir, is to go take out the entire state of Missouri, because one of the things, okay, that Missouri has so many great features, okay, but people has not been able to, blacks have not been able to access the systems that they put in place. And so, and I have been able to work in politics also for a number of years, okay, and quite successfully. And I ran campaigns for governor, in various congressmen and senators and the whole lot, okay, on both sides of the aisle. So I'm not one of the freaking say, I don't work with Democrats, I don't work with, but if you're a businessman, then you have to be with everybody that's out there that's doing business.
Absolutely.
And that's the only way you can succeed.
Absolutely. Yep. I talk to young kids all the time. They want to start their business. They're trying to start these black-owned businesses, which is great. We need them.
I can get money for their business also. We have money.
Well, that's one of the highest pitfalls that we experience as a community. We don't have that money. We got the money. We have the money. The black community in America worked in consortium. We'd be actually the ninth richest country in the world.
Yes, sir. Mr. Ford, one of the things that and MC knows, that our whole country is about to be rebuilt. And that's one of the things that President Biden has been successful in, getting infrastructure money to rebuild. I know here in St. Louis, just yesterday, in the middle of the business hour of traffic on Highway 64 here in St. Louis, highway, a water main, 35-inch water main burst right next to the highway. Well, they shut the whole highway down. And here in St. Louis, our water system, the infrastructure, our highway, our water system is over 107 years old. It needs to be replaced. And that's why I'm saying in Kansas City, they have the same problem.
Yes, sir. It's a nationwide problem.
It's a nationwide problem. So there's nothing new.
When Obama was trying to get, President Obama was trying to get a lot of that infrastructure through, the Republicans fought him so hard, but that was one of his major goals, which he wasn't able to get done to any degree because of the obstruction. But that's that's a public fatality looking to happen, not addressing those things.
Well,
I'm on another bandwagon. I'm sorry.
But no. Well, I'm saying, okay, thank God it was Joe Biden on the basis. He was able to take that same program and get across the finish line,
right?
And got the money, trillions of dollars, okay, that he got out there for the rebuild, not only the highways, which create jobs for the iron workers and everybody that go with it, but also he creates jobs for the electricians. I mean, all the trades will benefit from that. And not only that, okay, we talk about internet for the fiber that goes into the ground. That has to be replaced. Electrical systems, who break down, when they have the brownouts, when they get too hot and stuff, and especially down in Texas, the last couple of years, they had some massive, storms, and they had no way. If you're not aware before that, and you probably know this also, that Texas is the only state in the union that was not power of the power grid that's around and goes across the entire country.
Right.
And that's why when they went down, okay, because Texas said we don't need nobody, we got our own system. Well, the power grid allows each state, when they get issues, okay, for the other power grid to step in and flip a switch, okay, and hit the next grid, okay, and so that's what need to be replaced all around the country for your electrical grid, for your gas, even for your solar energy that's coming about here, also for your wind energy. All those have to go through a system, okay, to be built, for that to take place.
Right.
And we as blacks should be. Matter of fact, the federal government said 25% of their wind goes to black folks. It's already codified in the government.
Okay. Well, we need
to get our fair share.
Right, that's why our core organizations try to get more of our kids into those trades so they can learn and they can learn and earn it while they learn, and then
they sure can.
And then and progress through to being journeymen and foremen and business owners and contractors, so that we can start filling the bill. Because I hear sometimes they don't find the minorities as media. I hear that. I don't know how true it is or how deep they search, but we still need to fill that population of skilled tradespeople.
Well, years ago, okay, when I worked for the St. Louis, I was responsible for building the excuses for the city, and we got down to one point. We came to the cable companies, as you probably know, I know it's this, they are required by law to train minorities in how to be a cameraman, how to be a sound technician, how to do lighting, things like that.
Right.
So the company in St. Louis told the city, that's okay, they couldn't find anybody. But what I did, personally, I went out and recruited so many blacks they were running over, and then what happened is, of course, they created a cameraman for the football games, baseball games, for the hockey games, for all those games. Those guys, okay, got those jobs behind the cameras, because they got trained for free. And their programs that exist, they're still here.
That's great. Well, like I said, a lot of times it's just awareness. Become aware of the opportunities that are out there. And with our organization, we want them to see black people that have actually done it, been there, done that, and are doing pretty good. And hopefully that has the impact of giving them the faith and the perseverance to stay getting in those jobs, those trades, and stay in there.
Well, right now, just like in Congress, I haven't done it myself. It's not like I talked to a gentleman last night, and who was just kind of getting to the program. He said, "Well, sir, let me ask you, how do you know this? Have you done this before?" He said, "Well, young people go at that question right away," which he should. And I said, "Yes, sir, sure did. Did it more than once, okay? But I can show you how to do it now, and that's a good for it. I'm willing to show you and help you. Not only just show you, I'm teach you by the hand through our chamber, okay? Show you how you become a millionaire."
Yeah, and that's what we did. That was the other thing that we did last Saturday. Carl was showing them about hands-on work with the cutting and measuring and everything. But then we had some people, some representatives from Prime America, and they were talking to them about the financial business, financial literacy, and how to get investments and things like that. So this was a well-rounded program we had last Saturday, and we're going to try and do one at least once a month from here on.
Well, I want to bring that same program offer to St. Louis area, and we can help you get more money. Okay, one program we have, sir, is that if a gentleman, let's say one of your guys, okay, decide you want to, just a gentleman, okay, or whatever, and he wants to start his own company. Well, I can get him $3,000 off the ground.
Okay.
And that's instead of a small piece of money, okay. And also we would train them, okay, how to set your business up.
All right.
Okay, gentlemen. We're at the halfway mark, and what I invited Mr. Kenneth Ford on, he's all over the Freedmen's, and he will explain that. Matter of fact, Congress established the Freedmen back in 1865, right after the Civil War. But what this conversation y'all talk about is right on time. We do have a young lady, and she will be on the show on the 27th of this month. And she's all over Oklahoma, and she traveled. But Mr. Kenneth Ford, let's get into the Freedmen and what you do and how effective it is, and the purpose and the objective and the mission.
All right. Well, my family is comes from Oklahoma, the Muskogee, Tallahassee area, right outside of Tulsa. Our family history goes all the way back to southeastern United States before the Trail of Tears. So some of my forebears actually walked on the Trail of Tears from somewhere in Alabama up to the Indian Territory, which is now in Oklahoma. My family's a Creek descendant, but we deal with, there's a Creek tribe that the Freemen talk about deal with the 5 civilized tribes, which is the Choctaw, Chickasaw, Cherokee, Seminoles, and the Muskogee Creeks. Like I say, my family's Creek. We come from the Creek tribe. They moved to Oklahoma back in the day, just because a lot of people didn't know that the Indians owned slaves. There were various relationships between tribes, the tribals, and the black Africans that were with them. Sometimes it was slavery, sometimes they married, sometimes they didn't marry, and they had a lot of offspring together. They had all kind of relationships, and some were good and some were not so good. But they did make the Trail of Tears. Blacks did make the Trail of Tears walk or trip up to Indian Territory. They stayed with the tribes and worked in slavery and different relationships for all these years up through the Civil War. During the Civil War, most of the tribes, they signed on to fight on the side of the Confederacy. That's because of what they call some of the mixed Indians who were mixed with European. They liked having slaves and wanted to keep them. And so in the Creek tribe, they were called the Lower Creeks, and the Upper Creeks were more or less the full blood Indians. When the United States, when the Union beat the Confederacy, well, then there was some signs, treaties that had to be signed, peace treaties. And in the treaties that were with the 5 tribes, there was stipulations that the tribes would take in their black residents, blacks that were affiliated with their tribe, and as full citizens with all full rights and all full benefits as being full citizens of their respective tribes. So that caused a little bit of rift in some of the tribes. If you were white, you're European and Indian, you were okay. But if you were black or African and Indian, then you were put on what's called the Freedman Roll. It didn't make any difference how much blood you had, but if you were on the Freedman Roll, that pretty much automatically took you out of the eligibility for the benefits as tribal.
What was that, sir?
It was pure racism. This actually took place in 1979. Most of those tribes, they rewrote their constitutions, and anybody that was on the freedman list basically was disenfranchised. And it was, like I said, it basically, if you were black and Indian, you were disenfranchised. If you were European and Indian, you were okay. So that's the main. It's crazy. 1979 was when this new constitution was rewritten, especially in the tribe. But all through the years, our forefathers, they endured all kind of racism, hate, denigration. And the surprising thing is when the peace treaties I was talking about, especially with the Greeks, they went to Washington D.C. to negotiate those treaties, and in their delegation were several blacks, people, guys you never heard of: George Sugar, Ketch Barnett, Harry Island, Kyle Tom. These were black men who were born into slavery, but they were representing the Creek tribe, standing toe-to-toe with congressmen and senators as treaty negotiations were going on. And so, to tell you the truth, if it wasn't for these black people, doggone Creek Indians, because the government, after the Confederates lost the war, the government wanted that Indian land bad. They wanted all that Indian land. And so who were those blacks in front negotiating, in my mind, on Indian Appreciation Day, the Creek tribe wouldn't have had enough land to roll out a slip and slide. So, and then they turn around and going to put the blacks out of their tribe after all that we've done. We've held chief positions, we've held legislative positions and council positions. These are black people. In addition to being loyal citizens of those tribes, there were a lot of blacks that didn't know how to speak English. All they spoke was the tribal language that they had. And so for them to try and put us out is just wrong. It's just wrong. So in many lawsuits, we here in Kansas City, we put together an organization called the Descendant Freedmen Alliance of Kansas City. We deal with freedmen from all 5 tribes. And so hopefully this year, we're going to try and do a treaty signing celebration, which that treaty that I was talking about, they signed it in 1866, and it freed slaves, because the Emancipation Proclamation didn't free all the blacks that were in the nation. Each of those nations are their sovereign nations of their own. So each one of them had to have separate treaties signed with the U.S. government. And so Emancipation Proclamation didn't free us blacks in the tribes. And so, but the 1866 treaty did. And
but
so
Missouri was one of the last states to join the Union. And
right.
so
as a state,
they came in. Right. I said, and they came in, and that was a hold up, okay. But with them joining, they didn't want to think it's okay. And I'm saying because of that today, okay, that's why in Missouri right now, okay, there's opportunity for blacks because they see that they're still working that system today. What you're talking about?
Yeah. And so after that, I mean. After that was signed, there were so many different people trying to get more blacks to come to Indian Territory, trying to make it basically an all-black state. Is what in fact, a young guy I know you've heard of him. He's not young. He was James Milton Turner. He was a St. Louis. He was born in St. Louis. His daddy was a horse trainer. But he rose up to be one of the ambassadors, I think, to Liberia under President Grant. But he came back, and him and a guy, I think it was Hannibal Carter from Chicago, they had a big movement trying to get more blacks to move to Indian Territory. It had some success, but not enough, because there were so many Europeans, so many white people from the South that were also coming into Indian Territory, getting that cheap or free land. And so it turned out to be probably for every black person that moved to Indian Territory, there were probably at least 10 whites that moved there. And so that's why we weren't able to really get the political grip that we really needed to have. And so, and then of course those white Southerns, they brought Jim Crow with them. And so one of the things they did when Oklahoma became a state was sign in the Jim Crow laws, And so that's why back in those days, in the around the turn of the century up until the Tulsa massacre, a lot of blacks were leaving Oklahoma. They either went to formed small enclaves of the cities that they were in, which was like the Black Wall Street. Other than that, they would go and start all these black towns, and Oklahoma is famous for having over 50 all black towns started during this period. And then otherwise they just left Indian territory, period. And Kansas City was one of the destination routes. That was one of the places people came here to Kansas City. That's why there's so many of us with Indian history here in Kansas City today.
You know, Mr. Ford, you in St. Louis, okay, we had one of the black enclaves that still exists today, but not with the fiber that they had then, was called the Ville neighborhood. Matter of fact, they own high school, Southern High School in Seattle. Oh, you got the Grace Conway just passed away, who grew up in the Ville. Southern High School, one of the only best officers in the world, was in the Ville neighborhood. That's where you had a lot of doctors, a lot of your that's for blacks. You know, because most times, the problem we have nowadays is that as most blacks makes more money now, they immediately leave the inner city and move to the counties, okay? And so now you notice, and also here in St. Louis, they are now rebuilding those cities up in downtown areas, they're compared to that level now.
Yep.
They're now building houses now that you cannot afford to live in.
The same thing happening in Kansas City.
Right, the same thing here. Happened here. And not just here, like also in Washington, D.C., with Howard University. On their campus, okay, you see, a lot of black business owners, the black had the houses and what have you. Well, I was there a couple of years ago, and I was just amazed at how they would tear down maybe four or five houses, okay? They would build like a 6th-century apartment building into that same space.
Yeah.
And so there's something that's not just in our neighborhood, but it's in Kansas City, but it's now those inner cities now. Here in St. Louis, they're doing it in Kansas City. In St. Louis, we were only probably one of the two major cities. Okay, then we have our baseball team in St. Louis, in downtown St. Louis. We had our hockey team in downtown St. Louis.
Mm-hmm.
Football team in downtown St. Louis. We also had a zoo in downtown St. Louis. We also have our all the opera houses all over in downtown St. Louis, in the same road. And so now, okay, all the amenities that the blacks need to have, they'll have it in the suburban areas now, are now in your inner city.
Yeah.
And now that's why I'm saying we can't say, okay, well, you guys now trying to head stadium, okay, I'm taking back to downtown Kansas City. They said, we're not going to let you do that.
Yeah.
And then they're going to try to move the other cities. Arrowhead had so much money put into it. They're not going to, they can't move them for the next 10 or 20 years.
Right.
That doesn't mean that they're going to try to do the Royal Stadium down to downtown Kansas City.
Yeah, either downtown Kansas City or in Kansas City, Kansas is making a big bid too.
Right, yeah, but both of them are right. Yeah, right. So that's doing because downtown Kansas City and downtown Kansas City, and they're both the same. No river in between.
Yeah.
They're taking advantage. Okay, those rivers. Okay, build along the rivers now.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so that's why now your houses, okay, and the suburban area gonna be very, very cheap, okay. I mean, right now, some of those houses now going to the inner city.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And like you said, we can't afford them. Get in there.
No. They put up gated communities, okay, just security. And I said, you can't come out of sight. So we don't do that. It's not allowed over here.
Right. Well, I look at the black what's going on with the black people in the tribes as kind of a microcosm of what's going on with black people all over this nation.
It's a model. It's a model.
Yeah, it's really. I mean, you can look at it and then look at the bigger picture and see it just the same things is going on. The mitigation, the disrespect that they use within the tribes, the isolation and the regulating us to the margins of society. If you black, there's a problem. And the same thing's going on with Black America as a whole. And so we just need to. We've got to stand strong, persevere with it, one way or another. And everybody can articulate, pontificate on the situation, but very few people have any actual resolutions.
Well, Mr. Ford, that's what I'm going to do. Okay, I'm going to send you a copy of my show we did this afternoon. My show is called "Good Bet You a Conference," and we've been doing actual going on 8 years now. And we're now on a podcast. Anyway, MC show now, okay, can be heard live on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, live. And also, all of your shows can be found on Spotify also. And anytime, you miss a show, okay, you go to Facebook or YouTube, and you can get a different show. All of the shows, okay. And this show today, I'm going to talk about the program also. Great. So you can show your friends, okay. This is the internet radio station we're talking on.
All right.
Internet radio, okay, has advantages, and we just now how we get advantage of that. That's what they call it. Our radio show in those days, and now called podcast. Okay. They're just thinking you on a podcast today. Excuse me. That's what's taking place right now. So we got to be able to change, okay, when the time changes.
Yes, sir. So that's one of the important things that we need. I noticed that in Indian territory, there were several people that had newspapers at that time, black people.
Oh my God, yes.
Cemetery and all these different black newspapers, because we need to be able to communicate with each other and let everybody know what's going on. Because that's where we lost so much power, because we don't have the vision, we don't have the stick togetherness. And that's one thing we do with our organization, Descended Freedmen. We have our website, which is dfakc.com. dfakc.com. And you go, we tell about the organization there and how we got started. We tell history of what I've given you a little bit of history of about the freedmen coming from southern United States. But also there's a feature there called the Tribal Squawk, and try to give information, history on some of our past names. Jesse Franklin, for one, he was a Creek. He was the first person to serve as a Supreme Court justice in America. He was the first one in the Creek Nation. So it gives some.
What was his name again?
Jesse Franklin. I was down here in Oklahoma. I met his great granddaughter when I was down there for a trial back in December, a Freedman event.
You said it was on the United States Supreme Court?
Yeah. On the Supreme Court of the Creek Nation.
Oh, okay, so the Creek Nation, okay.
Mm-hmm. So he was born a slave, but he ended up serving as a judge on the Supreme Court.
Oh, you cannot well see that he has to overcome his fear, okay?
Yeah, absolutely.
That we want to succeed, okay? The only thing that can take fear out of the equation is that you find. You find out, okay, that you like it.
Yeah.
Like with different foods, okay, that I know I said I didn't like this. I mean, this is what I did most recently. I said I did not like call it a pizza. The vegetarian pizza, the veggie pizza, right? Well, at the event, during the holidays, past holidays, I tried a piece of my sister-in-law's pizza, the original veggie pizza.
Yeah.
And I ain't never eaten almost a whole pizza.
That's the way it works. That's
the way it works.
I used to have a organization called Interlight Incorporated. We're teaching young boys about financial literacy and how to open up about entrepreneurship. And most of the entrepreneurs I studied, they were scared to get into whatever business at first. But once they got into one and figured out how easy it is, next thing you know, most of the entrepreneurs have several businesses. They do several things, and so
diversify.
But it's getting over that initial fear, like you're saying.
Mm-hmm. Well, those are the things, okay, that with Liberation Commerce, we do those things. And right now, although we've been around for a while, and I started, but I didn't do it my way, and I knew how to do it. I was always trying to other members of the chambers how they did their way.
Mm-hmm.
And I looked around, Mr. Ford, and found out that we started another radio station, radio program 8 years ago when we first started our chamber. And in those days, all the guys were saying, big chambers, you don't need no radio station. A radio show, well, guess what? They all got radio shows now. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing they told you we did not need, okay, they actually was taking our advice, and put it to good use for themselves.
Okay.
And that's how but the other part about, okay, they were not willing to share, okay, with anybody else what they were doing to make themselves successful.
Okay.
And I don't mind, in our team, we do not mind sharing what we're doing, not just with our members, okay, but in the community.
That's great. That's what it's going to take.
And that's why in Kansas City, okay, Mr. Corn Price was our vice president of the chamber. He had a stroke recently.
Oh,
I have to say, when he's coming back, I talked to him last week, okay?
Oh, okay, yeah.
His voice is strong.
Oh, okay.
But physically, okay, he's leg getting around himself. He was down there on the 18th line cutting the rug. He's like,
okay, yeah. Long guy.
He loves to dance, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And so he and I was on the telephone talking a long time, and we had a good conversation, okay? But right now he's getting back on his feet, okay? Because we did some things in Kansas City. We bought Miss Black America Kansas City years ago. We also had our Tribute Awards down at the Baseball Museum. And we also had some other programs with Toyota there in Kansas City.
Okay.
Changed did a lot of stuff in Kansas City, okay? But after the pandemic hit, we kind of watched a lot of things out. But we are coming back again stronger than ever before.
Okay, that's the thing. That's key. Cause same thing with us as Cindy Freeman. We've kind of lost contact with each other since the pandemic. Because we were meeting monthly, and so we just trying to keep it together.
But now we're coming back, sir, and that's why I need you, okay, to be a part of what we're doing here, and I know you will be, because our philosophies are here that people are the same.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Unless you want to get into it.
What is your name?
My name is Ira, I-R-A-A. And the last name is Fowlkes, F-O-W-L-K-E-S.
All right. Okay, dear.
F-O-W-L-K-E-S.
Okay.
And you got my number already on your telephone.
Okay. All right. I'll keep
But
that.
I will be calling you back also.
Super. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that because I'm looking forward to talking with you. We in St. Louis and Kansas City, we need to. There's some things already happening, but we need to keep on going with it.
Yeah. Oh, by all means, and we will. Mr. Ford, we will work together.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, I promise you that. Okay.
All right. Sounds good. Looking forward.
Yes, sir. I promise you that. And one thing
Mr. Ford,
Yes, sir.
our folks, he's is not that far across that bridge in Illinois.
Okay.
And we'll turn him on to one guy that I know you probably know some of the union representatives in the state of Illinois, and tell them what you're trying to do, Ira.
Well, what we're trying to do is bridge the gap, okay? And that's it, bridge the gap and create opportunities for blacks to take advantage of where they are in the trade organization.
Mm-hmm.
And But I also was one of the people that actually uh, had laid the foundation for the Coalition of Bacterial Unit here in St. Louis. Which is been around for a couple of years now. And what I did then was I brought the idea to the table that they should meet in the union halls, okay, not in their own places. And then at that point, they should ask their union, okay, if they can petition to the convention that they have now, that they have it. And that program worked very well. So now I'm going back now to support, and we're going to take it to the next level.
Okay.
And I'll be able to tell you more about that, okay, when we have our conversation. And that's how we're going to be able to, raise more millionaires, okay, in our community.
5 minutes, Mr. Fowlkes.
Yeah, okay, but that's good. So you said that millionaire that poked my ears popped up again.
That's what I want to do, sir. Pop your ears up, okay?
Yeah.
And let you know, okay, that what we're doing, sir, we can do it in your fair city.
Yeah.
Because you have a lot of good opportunities, a lot of history.
Yeah.
All I'm doing, sir, is building on your history.
Yeah.
And not letting your history go to waste.
Yes, sir. And that's one of the things that's important to me is history, because a lot of times our forebears didn't get their just due. They were there for helping us, and so I look at people like MC, Mr. Richardson there with side. And all these guys that did what they needed to do to carve out some pathways for us, and so. I'm always looking back in history with see who got us here, whose shoulders I'm standing on, and definitely one of them.
Right. Yes, and that's what we're doing here. And like MC just told you, the program you got into, shooting with something he started years ago. Well, we got to continue building to the next level.
Right. And that's why we in our premises, that's one of the things we talk about, how when we're trying to get more blacks, especially tradesmen, to share, what we're trying to do is, we appreciate the white community. They tried to build bridges over the years. Mm-hmm. Hopefully with black people in place, we can kind of tunnel under some of the bias, tunnel under some of the crap that's been put to us, kind of like the Underground Railroad. We had to go, in our history, we had to go low sometimes in order to get things done, because the bridges that they built were built for them, not too much for us. And so we got to find our own ways sometimes to forward our community into thinking. And sometimes that comes from regress, going back to some of the old landmarks, rites of passages our culture was noted for. Doing the things with our senior citizens. In Western culture, they tend to discard our seniors, but in third worlds and other cultures, seniors are needed. They're the ones that actually bring up the kids sometimes and impart those.
They are.
Those that wisdom and that care that's necessary. So we want to go back to some of the things that our culture, we have to include the Western culture, but we want to go back and examine some of the things that made our culture successful. And I think that's what's going to really revitalize and reverberate with our people as we try to go forward.
Well, we got to take advantage, okay, and bring those old folks in the corner sitting by the window. We got to let them continue to teach us.
Yes. There's still contributors in this community, and we need it.
The brain works very fast.
Yeah.
But MC, we getting close to the top of the hour, so if you want to say it before we get out of here.
Well, I can talk, but you guys have done a tremendous show. and I just want to see what Mr. Ford is getting with you and how he can be reached and what are some of the things. Now, he hadn't told you about all the treatment they got throughout the United States and the people in professional type position, and they meet often. So briefly, I know it's about out of time. It always happens like that, but we don't get the floor.
Mr. Ford, on your phone, I already sent you today's show with MC, and my show already on your phone already.
Okay. Okay. Well, of course, my contact information is the website, DFAKC.
Oh, no, I'm sorry, go ahead.
All right.
I can get hold of you.
Got it. DFAKC.com.
Okay.
That's the website, and then a lot of my contact information is on that website.
Okay, Mr. Ford, I want to thank MC as usual for putting together another show.
Oh,
and I'm just kind of co-host here, you know, and sometimes I talk. But we work together as a team because we go back almost 40 years together also.
Yeah.
He's a foundation.
He's one of my mentors, and he's a mentor of mine, and ain't a thing he can do about it.
Well, we appreciate after we had a couple absent to bring you back right. And once again, tomorrow is Mother's Day. That includes mother-in-laws too. And we got a great show planned for next week. Well, one of the guys, he's with the Bloodstones, Harry Williams. We're gonna do not only a photo shoot, but we're gonna do a show next Saturday that's what we want to do, from 5 to 6. But do you have any parting words, Mr. Kenneth?
Well, I think, like I say, happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there. We wouldn't be, you only get one, so take care of that mother. My mother's been gone. There's a guy in my band, his mother's still with him. He's a caretaker for her. And we talk all the time about how tough it is sometimes being a caretaker. But, I let him know, hey, man, you got your mom. Enjoy it.
She carried him for 9 months. So he got to carry her now.
Yeah, and he's good.
Mr. Ford, we want to thank you for today's show. Time we got together. So you I can't say it. Over 30 years now. That's MC Richard. That's going to put things down from the next guy out here. We'll take you touch again next week. Just coming in to thank you.
Before we close out, Mr. Scott, give the last word before we give you, because the Mother's Day that you got to deal with and a grandfather and what have you. So we want you to close out the show, sir.
To all who are listening, may you have a wonderful, wonderful Mother's Day. Remember the women in your life. They're precious. Thank you.